Hello and welcome to Boatrek Live.
Is that the
Today,
first time that's been on?
yeah,
It's so cool. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt
that's okay.
your intro, but that's the coolest thing ever. Did you make that?
Yeah, like
That's great.
a long time ago.
It's really great. Sorry, go on.
I just
Carry
never
on.
had a chance to use it in a live stream setting yet. Well, I
I'm
could have, but
honored.
yeah,
It's
thanks.
very cool.
So today we're going to be talking about Moist Vessel, and that's the fourth episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. And with me today is, of course, Starfleet Boy, and I want to thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's
I
very
try to
nice.
do these discussions every week for every episode of Lower Decks, and somebody always pulls through and comes on with me and talks. And last week it was me, you, and Sean.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to eventually, probably like the season finale, me, you, Sean, Fathery.
Oh, right on. That'll
And
be awesome.
there's a YouTuber I've always wanted to talk to, but I've never really been all that sociable with him. Dan Gunther from Kurt Rats. His live streams are also great, which actually they're at the same time as Fathery's. So like
Yeah,
I usually watch Fathery's live and then go back and watch Kurt's Rats.
same here. I did some cheating on Father and I hopped around the other week and I went on to vote. Like I was trying to manage being on both streams, but it didn't work out really well. But I do really enjoy Dan's work and Kurtrat's productions. And I just realized I wasn't following Positively Trek, which is a podcast that he does also.
Yes, with Bruce, a guy named Bruce.
Yeah, and so I just checked that out. So I'm excited to listen to some of the episodes of that. And
Yeah, they're great.
he's really nice. You can just talk to him. I feel like he'll totally come on your show.
He's like the nicest Trek
He's so
dude on.
nice.
Yeah,
He's super nice. And he just got married recently. So cheers to you
yeah.
if you're
Shout out,
seeing this.
shout
Shout
out to
out.
Dan Gunther. Uh, so where would you rank this fourth episode? Do you think this is the best?
It's
Because a
my
lot of people are
favorite.
saying it is.
That's
Yeah.
all I can say is it's my favorite. As far as the best goes, it's so hard because each episode has like a unique flavor so far, I guess. Like it feels like each episode has something that stands out about it. But yeah, it's definitely my favorite.
Um, yeah, I find that the show is consistently good, and no episode is worse or better than the last. And that's almost refreshing in a way because it's great to have consistently good Trek on every week. I'm almost getting to a point now where I'm looking forward to Lower Decks in a more positive way than I did before newer Trek shows. Not getting into putting down anything else, but I think this is the best modern Trek show so far, in my opinion. I know, probably jumping the gun on that 4 episodes in, but
I just think it's so I think it's funny because I definitely want to be on that same bandwagon, but of course, as you can see, I'm branded out with my favorite, with what I think is the best Star Trek show, which is Star Trek Picard. But it's a close second, and I have to say that like I think that it's intentional that Star Trek Picard is darker and changes the flavor of what we expect. So I do agree with the sentiment. I don't know who said it first. I think it might have been Sean, but it makes me feel like I'm coming home when I watch Lower Decks, which is a different feeling from Star Trek Picard. So
yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a little bit positive and say that the second season of Picard will be great. Anyway, let's
I
move
think
on
so
to
too. I
let's talk
agree.
about Lower Decks.
Yes,
Talk
it's
about Lower
true.
Decks.
I know I should have worn my Lower Deck shirt. I'm so sorry. I'm such
Now, who
a
cares?
bad guest.
Um, so,
I
so
was
this
no, I'm not
episode
gonna
opens
change.
up. Okay, there's a in this episode there's a sister ship called Mercedes or Merced,
The Merced.
and it's captained by a Tellarite done right. Uh, Captain
Durango.
Durango, yeah. But in the episode I guess he has a sheer fucking hubris about him because he fucking. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't curse so much. But he says he basically does this stupid move where he moves the ship for no reason to somehow one up the Cerritos, and to me that made no sense. It was just like an arbitrary plot point to stick in there to have something go wrong. And they didn't want to make it Jack Ransom's fault, I guess, but yeah, they're like, let's blame it on the Tellarite captain, because Tellarites are kind of assholes.
I do like that if the California class starships are all kind of like captained by similar kind of, flawed captains, if you will. Yeah. I do like that the Cerritos is the best of the worst. Like that the fact that like Durango to me was just hilarious. And I know it was like a random thing, but it did feel like natural to that character. It looks like he can get easily offended and then just kind of like do these stupid things. Like to me it did feel very like real. Is there an instance that you could think of like off the top of your head in Star Trek, like where that happened, where there's like an eager captain or a captain that was just like off color and did that kind of weird shit? I can't think of someone.
Well, there's examples in the original series, and
that's true. Decker
in TNG it was mostly admirals who were shady.
Yeah. But no, now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. And then there was the captain O'Brien's former captain. What was his name?
I forget. I know what you're talking about, but
he went rogue. That's right. I forgot
it's
about
that. It's that episode about the Cardassians, right?
Captain Durango, you are out of formation. You are way out of formation. I love that catchphrase. I'm going to start using that from now on.
And is there some kind of past? Okay, Durango and Freeman used to serve on a ship called the Illinois.
Illinois, yeah.
So, do you think maybe they had some kind of contentious past? Because Freeman is like a confrontational person. She's just like always at everybody. And you know what? That's the funny thing. I hope there's a trope with the California class. If we see another ship, say, like, okay, all of these captains, there's a reason why they're not commanding the top tier ships, right? There's a reason they're not doing first contact instead of second.
Can we talk about what might be the Canada class, or at least the USS Vancouver?
The USS Vancouver, yes. I'll try. You talk about it. I'll try to bring up an image.
Oh, sweet! I was so excited. The little glimpse we got of it. It's a cool looking ship, and I like that kind of like shiny. I guess it's a purple tint to the name. I also like that whole thing. I don't know if it was really. I have to kind of look. This is where my knowledge kind of like fades in a lot of areas of Star Trek, but especially here. But like, you know how the Cerritos has the Delta, and then it says USS Cerritos when you come into I guess it's the landing bay or whatever, and it looks like the Vancouver has it too. But was that like, did the Voyager have that, or did the Enterprise? I don't remember.
Well, don't ask me about Voyager because it's been a while. I can't find this image.
Oh, no worries. It's up. Let me see if I can find
here it is. I got
it. You got it. You got it.
Right. We're gonna share screen. This is very. Forgive my computer's slowness.
Dun, 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 dun. In the meantime, if there's anyone watching, let us know what you think of the Vancouver. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
The Vancouver class.
Or we don't know if it's the class. It's the USS Vancouver.
Oh, yeah. The Vancouver is the name of the ship. But someone said it might be a Canadian class or something.
Or Canada class. Or also it could be. I mean, would they name something the British? Isn't it in British Columbia? Because like California class, and then each vessel seems to be named after a city. So maybe it's the British Columbia class.
Maybe we might get the USS St. John's. Yeah.
Oh, it should be in there. Can you zoom into it? Like, is that possible?
Let me see.
I think if you shrink your computer window around it, it'll get bigger. That's what I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, watch.
No, it's not working.
Oh.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. It looks cool, though. Look at it. It's kind of like a Miranda class, but like very, very sleek. I love it. Okay, I could stare at it all day. I like those little. Oh, it kind of also looks like a New Orleans class, which is the question I lost Uh, I lost two. Hey, Stress Freak. Hey.
Howdy, y'all. I think each one feels more enjoyable because each new episode develops the relationships just a bit more. Yay. Yeah, that's right. It's pretty
Totally
much.
true.
And, I'm interested in the character development because I think you needed to have an episode where Freeman and Mariner have the fight or have the situation where they have to work together to, you know, resolve some issues. But then at the end, Mariner just like completely backtracks on that and makes fun of the bald admiral and the way he says censors. And it's like, yeah, I guess she can't really be promoted because it is called Lower Decks. But they could have maybe had her be a lieutenant for a few episodes and then just finally snap, like her actually trying to be more mature and actually making an effort to be an example to her now inferiors, I guess you could call them, like Boimler. Boimler's like completely jealous of her, and
Essentially.
there could have been funny to have a couple of episodes of him dealing with that and being under the command of Mariner, and Mariner actually trying to be a good officer, but then completely just like one episode she just can't do it anymore. Like she just can't go to the meetings, but they kind of do all of that in one episode, and it's back to her being, a lower decker.
Look, I did something cool. I'm in your chat at the same time
Oh my
as
god,
on here.
how did you do that? It's
I
amazing.
learned I learned a technique. You, I saw other YouTubers doing it and I like looked it up on and saw how you can do it. It's pretty easy actually. I feel dumb for not having discovered it before.
I gotta ask you, would you be okay if there are multiple episodes where Freeman and Mariner have to work together and they're like bickering back and forth the whole time?
Yeah, I kind of like I think that like we can't have I would like to not have her wanting to get Beckett kicked off. Carol, I don't want Carol wanting to get Beckett to be kicked off to be the thing throughout the whole series. Like I think that like at some that should definitely get resolved. But it'd be cool if something new cropped up. Like they were always having like I wouldn't mind that they're always bickering, but I don't want them her to always I don't want it to always be her trying to get her kicked off the ship.
Yeah, and we see Ransom actually makes a comment like, "Why haven't you kicked her off the ship yet?" And it's like, it's not my place to question your motives. And
Yeah, that's right.
it's like, how are the crew not aware? It seems a bit strange, but okay, she, you have the captain screaming and yelling at this girl, calling her by her first name, and nobody catches on. Like,
It's true.
maybe
It's really
you should have some of the officers offside, kind of just say, are they related? Like,
it is gonna be. I want to see what it's gonna be funny when that comes to a head. We'll see what happens. Do you? The whole family dynamic is something that's very interesting. Like having an admiral as your father, a captain as your mother, like having a daughter that's like not performing up to what your standard because you're a captain and you're an admiral, right? And you think your daughter's going to be at least a lieutenant by now, or like a lieutenant commander or maybe even a commander. So it is interesting.
the thing with Mariner is she's one of these officers who's extremely capable, and she's actually very intelligent and she's very knowledgeable for the most part. But she, like, I don't know this thing with modern Trek and officers with great amounts of hubris, but she does have like this cockiness about her where she thinks she's above the system. Like she wants to be in the system, like the Starfleet world, but she doesn't want to advance because she doesn't want to have the responsibility of. She doesn't want to be responsible for lives. Basically, she wants to be hover in the middle and kind of break the rules when she wants, and she doesn't respect the chain of command. And I believe there has to be something in this season where she realizes the value of Starfleet, and we got some of that in the third episode at the end. But
Yeah,
then,
we
of
totally
course,
did with that scene. But also, I just want to say that, like,
Ransom undoes that by pissing her off. But anyway, yeah,
I do think I agree with you that it's like something we're seeing in modern Trek, but I'm like kind of like I'm glad we're seeing it because it always when you see it now and you think about Trek of the past, you're like, how could every single person in every single ship on Starfleet be so mono, like mono personality, right? Like, why it doesn't make sense that like there wouldn't be a Mariner or a Burnham
Yeah.
or like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I think that like this is more true to what real life now and in the future will be like. I don't think it's going to be, I hope it's not a mono, civilization where everyone just thinks the same and everyone's super excited to be a commander or everyone's super excited to fall in the chain of command and things like that. I think it's great that Star Trek has expanded this idea or this notion, and I don't even know where it came from, but I definitely fell into that as well. Like, I definitely was like, oh, these people don't act like Starfleet officers, but you know what, like lots of military people don't act like US military officers, and it's just like a real thing, and I love it. I think it's good.
I think young Picard felt a great deal of hubris too before
Yeah, great call out.
the Nausicaan stabbed him in the heart. Yeah.
Damjot, you play Damjot human.
Howdy, Starfleet Boy. So glad you're such huge fans.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm always glad that I'm a huge Trek fan. Like, so many references of other important things are lost on me because I obsess with Star Trek so much. So, but I appreciate you. Thank you.
So, what did you think of the Tendi storyline of her being so enthusiastic about what's the guy's name? O'Connor.
Yeah, O'Connor, played by Haley Joel Osment, who I'm a huge fan of. I love that whole thing, and I'm in my own headcanon, I'm saying that her kiss is what got him to what triggered the ascension, and so that's just what an awesome kisser she is. Uh, no, I loved it. I thought it was very relatable, at least for me personally, because oh, hey, Robbie's here too. At least for me, I can see on the other chat he's here, so I can see into the future. Yeah, it's weird, there's like a delay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, that I could see I could relate personally to her thing of wanting to be liked. Like, that's definitely something that's true to my personality. I've dealt with it in my own way over the years, and like I felt, more, I feel like more on the other side of that feeling where I've like learned not to like like give in to that, like those anxieties, if you will. But it was still refreshing to see someone who seems to, up until now, she seemed to be like the really happy-go-lucky one that had no problems, and so for her to admit that was very cool, to give her character a little bit more dimension as well. And I liked it, and I like Tendi a lot. I think I haven't decided who my favorite character is. I'm leaning hard towards Boimler, but I really like Tendi a lot too.
I like Tendi, but I found I like the look of his quarters when he's doing that ritual with all the other people in there, and she, the scene where she knocks over his sand pitcher or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. She's a bit too, I don't want to rag on Tendi because she's lovable, but it's like she's a bit too ditzy for my liking. Like,
she definitely comes across that way, right? But don't you think that Rutherford and her kind of are similar in that sense? I mean, like,
yeah,
not to like, not
and when they're together,
not to do this, but they're the Bill and Ted of the series. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, but go on.
But yeah, I don't know. I found her plot, the whole thing with her trying to be liked by this guy, and then him getting pissed off at her, wasn't all that interesting. But when it got to the very end where he's ascending and all that stuff, that was fantastic. It's just everything leading up to it. It's kind of like in some Trek episodes where the B plot is less interesting up until the conclusion or the climax of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the journey wasn't as interesting as the conclusion in that area. But the whole storyline with the ship getting transformed and the visuals there, I just absolutely loved. I love the look of that. So yeah.
Ooh, Robbie's having mango chicken curry. Now I'm getting hungry. I only know that because I can see into the future. There it is. I should stop doing it. I should stop looking into the future.
I eat curry like every week.
Oh,
for like
really?
the past 15 years.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
obsessed.
Lots of great nutrients in Indian cuisine, especially if you're putting turmeric and cardamom and things like that into your food. I eat Indian food pretty much every day for the last like 40 years of my life. As soon as you can get off the formula. I don't know if that's at age 2. It's probably younger than that. Um, I also liked speaking like that's what I think that's why this is my favorite episode is that like in the previous episodes there seemed to be like a more dominant thing, but here I felt maybe and actually it's because it's standing on the shoulders of its previous 3 episodes, right? We've all gotten to know the characters better, we're like more comfortable with them, so naturally like it just felt more balanced in that sense. And but I really vibed. I think I trying to decide what my favorite story, because there was definitely like the um the Tendi story stood out, and the Mariner and Freeman story were like the two dominant things, and then you had Boymes and you had Rutherford sprinkled in there. I think I have to go with ultimately my favorite of those was the Tendi story. To me, the Ascension stuff was just like wild and funny, but it's only a hair above the Mariner Freeman story, because that was a great story too and very relatable as well.
Yeah. It's like the two best aspects of that episode for me were the conclusion to the Tendi story, and even that line she says afterwards, it's like, "Enjoy being everywhere. Sorry, I helped."
Yes, that's right. That's
And
right.
that's when, like, that at that moment at the very end, I'm like, okay, I kind of like Tendi in this episode. But then when I went back and watched it, her dressing up in the thing, and uh, she had the thing full of flies, and he's getting all annoyed. I'm like, this is all fucking like Three's Company slapstick kind of stuff. But anyway,
That
yeah.
was a nice reference. There's so many like references and stuff, but she says it's they're Temerian, I think, which is the dudes from Darmok.
Yeah, yeah. And the hat that she's wearing looks like the hat
The
that the
Vulcan,
Vulcans
yeah.
wear at the beginning
Who
of
pointed that
Star
out? That
Trek
was
4.
Fathery, I think. There were so many people pointing things out. We should give credit to all the sleuths out there. But yeah, I don't even remember now where I've seen everything. But yeah, those hats were the Vulcan workers from Star Trek 4, right?
Mm.
Monks, worker monks.
And this biomolecular goo is something that I think is connected to the Genesis device.
Well,
Because what was in the Genesis device that activated? It had to be some kind of a compound of some sort, right? So maybe
I
it
think
was
it's
that
very
fluid.
similar. Yeah, I think Dr. Marcus, though, I want to give Dr. Marcus credit for coming up with it on her own, but it's not surprising that other civilizations wouldn't use something
Who's to
similar
say that
to.
Dr. Marcus didn't invent the goo? But then it's an ancient ship, so yeah. Uh, Maybe she discovered elements of the goo and did something with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could come to the same. I call it the Genesis goo. I like calling it
Yeah,
that because it reminds me of that.
it is.
Then there's the so I saw a debate, like some people were saying it is a generation ship, some people were saying it's not a generation ship, and I missed that.
So
Did
clarify
you?
what a generation ship is.
To
It's
me,
a,
a
it's a ship
generation ship,
that goes on throughout the generations, like
well,
A
that could
B.
like, yeah, it would be in my opinion probably a sublight vessel, perhaps one that like could one that like without a planet could sustain a civilization throughout the generations. So like you wouldn't need to go to a starbase or even to a planet very often, where
Uh,
you could pretty much sustain your whole civilization in there. And it was large enough to be a generation ship. It looked like you could hold, like compared to the Cerritos and the Merced, it looked like you could have like, a pretty substantial
hmm.
population within the ship. So that's why I thought of it as a generation ship.
Well, yeah, they were in cryostasis. So would there have been a point where they had to come out of cryostasis and have to live in the ship for an extended period of time? We don't know, but it's
We don't
it's a
know. Yeah.
it's a fascinating Trek thing that they do in this episode, which is like the whole discovery of an ancient, advanced civilization, and
Like the
they
Dyson
didn't quite
sphere.
make it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Dyson Sphere episode.
Stress Free K says, "I'm getting kind of concerned for Tendi. Is it Tendi? Tendi, right?
Tendi, yeah, TE, but that's all right.
I pronounce it Tindy sometimes too, like when I'm talking about it. But yeah, she's coming off like a decidedly less competent Tilly. Well, she isn't Tilly like a bridge officer though? Is she? Wow, is
No,
she
Tilly
advancing to
started
bridge?
off as a she started off
No,
as
no,
a
no. Yeah,
as an ensign,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think, and then she went into the command program, and that's why she's been on the bridge. She's coming across as a less competent Tilly. Like Tilly definitely like felt to me like I think they're both coming across. I think what you I don't know. To me, they don't seem less competent. They just both seem like kids. They're still so young that they're doing a lot of things. I agree, but I think that where Tilly's different is that she's super insecure, and I don't get the insecurity. Like Tilly expresses her insecurity more than Tendi does. Tendi expressed it finally here in this episode, but she comes across as very confidently, herself in the previous episodes. So I don't know. Whereas Tilly from the start is just like a nervous wreck and
See,
second guessing herself.
I view Tilly as a Barkley type more so.
Agreed. Same here.
And actually, since Discovery, there's been a lot of Tilly comparisons. Like, what's the Agnes from Picard? A lot of people say she's like Tilly, and I notice, some people are saying like Tendy's a Tilly-like character, where she's so, I guess, the giddiness and the enthusiasm. It's like, yeah, just tone it down a bit. But yeah, in the fact that they're cartoon characters, they're exaggerated versions of some tropes that we've seen before. I wouldn't say that Tendi is like Barkley, but I can see how you can think she's like Tilly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that too.
But yeah,
Stress-free case is totally like Barkley. Tilly is totally Barkley-esque.
People were asking for more Tendi in an episode, like something more focused on her, and I think the best is yet to come in terms of what we can potentially see with her character, because I don't know exactly what she's capable of. I know Boimler is just like a master of all trades, or no, a jack of all trades, possibly not like the master of any. Like he's a guy that can do everything, but like what specifically is his goal? He wants to be a commander, but like what is he
he's
showing
on
us?
the command track. He wants to be a captain one day. It seems pretty clear that that's what he wants to do.
The closest thing we've ever seen with him in terms of command ability is him coaching the captain in that third episode. Yeah, third episode. But yeah, and
he seems to come through for the captain a lot, and the captain seems to want to talk to him, even though she can't remember his name. So he seems to be on the right. He may not realize it, but he seems to be at least getting the right opportunities presented to him.
What did you think of him getting jealous that Mariner is getting promoted and he's not, and it's something that he wants and she doesn't? So it's like doubly annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was also very funny because, I want Brad to get his, I want him to get his pie, his cake, and eat it too as well. I like Brad a lot. I like Boimler. He's a great character.
So they like it when you break rules.
Did you see
on the couch and he's like doing that thing?
It's true. That's right. Did you see the cool illustration? I'm so sorry I can't remember the artist, but on Twitter where they used it's the Lower Decks cast in real life, like with the actors. They use the actors' likenesses to like. Yes, that was a very cool
the picture here somewhere. I do have that picture,
unless
I erased it. I'm not going to bother to screen share. I'm just going to show you the actual picture.
Oh, cool. Well, anyways, that to me was like very exciting because I really love these characters, and I feel like you can see their I
got to turn down the brightness.
That's one of them, I think. I'll try to find the one that I really jive with, but it was like very cool. It was it was a lot more photorealistic. Maybe that's the one. No, that is the one. Yeah, that is the one. Yeah.
I got to turn down the brightness like way down on the phone.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's it. It looks so good.
Yeah.
We got to see how being an Orion gives Tendi her edge. Yeah, I wonder, are we seeing that? Is that like something that's happening?
Someone pointed out something interesting. I can't remember who, but it wasn't me. It was not my idea. But they said maybe because Tendi is an Orion, and that whole like craving attention and wanting people to like you has something to do like that's like a genetic thing almost.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That is
And that
interesting.
like Orion's. I don't know if this is like a negative Orion stereotype, but like at least from from the female point of view, I know Enterprise did something a little different, but wanting to please and wanting to make people happy is just
It's
something
true.
inherent in their being.
Oh, what Stress Free K was actually saying is we gotta see it. Like it hasn't happened yet, and that's true. We haven't seen it yet. So,
Well, no, I don't think that in this episode it shows anything like that. Shows
but
how
we
it gives
haven't
her an
seen.
edge. But yeah, like I want to see her possibly kick some ass or do some intellectual kind of like kung fu on an alien, like to fuck him up, or like perhaps like do some kind of Kirk thing where she confuses a computer beyond repair. Like, does not compute, can't understand question.
How are the Orions portrayed
Give her something.
in Enterprise? Do you know? I haven't really gotten to the Orion episodes yet.
Well, they it turns out that in the Enterprise says that the females are dominant and they're
a matriarchy,
they're a
right?
matriarchy. Yeah, I don't know if that's
Interesting. That's
a
cool.
particular faction of that society. I doubt it's like all
And
Orion
we know
society
from
because
the
we've
original
seen
series that
different versions.
Orions have some kind of ability or like a lure, right? Like they have some kind of
Oh, I have to plug in my camera. I'll be right back.
gotcha,
Make it
gotcha.
show. Make it show.
Make it show. So we know that Orions have some kind of like abilities. Stress Free K, do you know like the specific abilities or what that Orion Edge would look like? Because I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment as to what it was. Also going back to the chat, I will try to post some recipes. My mom makes delicious Indian food, and you could follow her Instagram at Angelina's Kitchen with an I instead of an E at the end. So Angelina's Kitchen, if you want to see some curry and other things. She posts other things too on her Instagram. Angelina's Kitchen. Check it out, guys. Whoa, PJ is getting his mic. I have a question, which is there he is. He's back.
Yeah, I had to. I forgot to plug in my laptop, and it was almost dead. I said camera, but it was my laptop. Yeah,
it's your laptop. So far, all we've seen Orions do is make men fall in love with them. It didn't work on Georgia.
There's much more to any, I think, Star Trek society than we've ever seen in any show yet. Because I find it's not a rip on how they interpret alien species, but it's in Star Trek. It's like a very generalized thing with they all kind of look the same, they all kind of dress the same. It's like almost like the planet is like full of clones, basically. But we've found out in
Monocultures, we call it. Yeah, like,
monocultures, yeah, and it's like they all speak the one dialect. It's like at least in I think in 2009's Star Trek they acknowledge multiple dialects,
diversity, basically.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it have been neat
like
wouldn't it be neat if two species
multiple
became
Romulan
intelligent?
dialects? Sorry, yeah.
Wouldn't it be neat if two species became intelligent on Earth? Like if it wasn't just humans, like maybe humans and like, avian type, advanced avians, had like intelligence and like there was a sky city and then an Earth city, like things like that, like Earth civilization and a sky civilization, and we could share this planet. Like that'd be an interesting thing.
It
didn't happen though
address
because
this comment?
Which one?
Oh yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
So far, we've seen Orion's. Yeah. Okay, but this one, their charms do not work on Vulcan women either. Like T'Pol. Yeah.
Vulcans are tough nuts to crack. It's true.
Yeah,
Orions are not the most progressively designed aliens. Is that why they retcon them, I guess, in Enterprise to make them a matriarchy, maybe, so that they're kind of like fooling others into thinking they're like a patriarchy? Is that what the vibe is?
Let's be honest. The Orion slave girl was originally created as just a sex object for men to enjoy back then in that context. And Enterprise kind of tried to flip that on its head, I guess.
Yeah, to update it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Do you agree with it? Do you remember? I'm excited to see how they update it. It's gonna be cool.
I don't know. I think every like Tendi will get her moment to shine at some episode where she's like responsible for or partly responsible for saving the ship. She does help the dude at the end, I guess. You know what I mean? In this
Yeah,
episode.
totally.
But I think
I haven't
Rutherford's
seen
gonna get
her.
his episode to shine, and yeah.
I'd like to see her interact more with Dr. Town. I'd like to see her. I mean, she's a medical
Yeah.
ensign, right? Like, and we haven't really gotten, in that sense, we haven't really gotten to see her in her element much, right? Like, we only saw her pretty much with the heart. Is there another medical scene that I'm forgetting about?
There is a scene where she's in there with Rutherford as well.
Wait, is this true? Did I make a joke that turns out right? Were there avians? I know that the avians got killed in Enterprise, but there weren't avians on Earth. Now I remember. Never mind. That was funny, Stress K. You had me go. I was like, wait a second.
What the avians are completely escapes me right now. I have to.
They're part of that Xindi plot. They're part of that conglomerate of people in the Delphic expanse, I think. Including there were like water-faring people, avians, like reptilians, and all that, and they were trying to create the weapon to destroy Earth.
That's the name of the group. Is that what you're saying? The group of multiple aliens.
Yeah,
like
well, no, they're
and the water people and the insectoids and
no, yeah, but then there's
the
avians. Yeah, the aquatics, and then there's the avians.
Oh, avians are the bird creatures.
Yeah, exactly.
But they reference them in Enterprise?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. And now I'm wondering. I
completely missed that. Oh, fuck, I didn't know that. You learn something new every day, don't you? But yeah, I recently watched the animated series and I noticed them in there. They're also in the second episode of at Lower Decks. One is like in the city in the background somewhere.
Oh, not those avian. Okay, I'm probably confusing you. I think here I'm gonna look it up while you. Yes, this is why
I did look it up.
This is why I lose every week on on a question of Trek because my knowledge is I can't separate the headcanon from the actual.
When I Google search avian Star Trek, it shows me the bird people and it shows me the Xindi group and the insectoid and the aquatics. So
Xindi avian memory alpha, good old memory alpha. So I guess they weren't in the actual show.
No, they weren't. They're just I guess they were just
referenced. Yeah.
But I had no idea Enterprise even acknowledged their existence. If you're talking about the bird creatures, right?
Yeah, the Xindi avian species was an extinct member of the Xindi race. So I knew about them. They are connected to the Xindi, but they were extinct. So yeah. Interesting.
Oh yeah, we saw that. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess we were pretty much covered most of everything. Oh yeah, the goo. What did you think of the whole incident that happened toward the end of the episode? The whole the visual look of the goo transforming the ship into crystals and rock and ice, and
I really liked it.
Voice Vessel, we found out.
Voice Vessel, yeah. I really liked it, and it reminded me of Akira, the anime, kind of like in the way that it was like, transforming things and stuff like that. So I like that aspect of it. I just wonder, I just thought like when they sprayed the gas and it all dissolves, did it return the ship to normal at the same time? Because like I thought there were like whole portions of the ship that like got eaten out or convert. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't very clear to me, but I didn't care. It's not a big deal. But it was interesting. Like
I would assume basically it goes back to the way it was, but there is damage throughout. Like obviously, like with the water and stuff, but. It just seems like they can go around and clean it up pretty quickly. And, cartoon rules. Like, the other ship is fucked up beyond repair, and it's like, we can't do nothing about that. And what would you think of that?
The Cerritos hadn't gotten to that point. But I guess they could tow the two ships to the nearest starbase and fix them up in no time.
I don't understand something about towing a ship with a tractor, or two ships towing something with a tractor beam, and how long that would take. I mean, wouldn't it take decades to get to the nearest starbase or whatever?
I think if they were traveling at full impulse power, it could be maybe a month of travel like that, but not decades. But like
Oh
at
God.
full impulse power, if they're depending on where they are, but that's still a lot of time. But hey, you know what? Like the Cerrito, that's the life on the Cerritos. Like the Enterprise never tows anything for a month.
I always figured there was a better way to tow things in Trek. Like if you got a big ship like that, why not create some kind of device, almost like transporter enhancers? Put something around the ship that creates a warp field that you can latch onto your warp field, and you can both, or you can extend the
Like
warp bubble beyond two ships or something. I don't
a
know.
warp carriage or a warp sled or a warp pickup truck. It
Yeah,
could be like that. Like you could definitely do that. I agree with you. I think that would be cool.
I get, yeah, like the animation when the the hull ruptures, it looked very anime to me, and then it invading the top of the ship, that wide exterior of the ship where it's like the crystals pop up everywhere. That looked pretty cool. And then inside the ship, when you see the vines growing and all this stuff, it's a combination of fast animation and this really smooth, kind of silky animation. And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
agree with
man,
you.
just visually, it just, from a animation direction standpoint, I think the the action set piece at the end of that episode is probably the best of the action set pieces so far. But yeah, like I said, some of the things that annoyed me is like, not annoyed, but like wasn't all that interesting, was Tendi at the beginning, but I liked how that ended. How he's ascending and he sees the universe balanced on the back of a koala. Why is he
That's gonna be
smiling?
forever.
What does he know?
It's okay.
That's
I want to
awesome.
go back and look at that whole scene again and write down each of the lines because they were so funny. It was just so absurdist. And so Robbie just posted a comment. I agree. I don't like the Orions being eye candy, but that would make for a good episode where Starfleet helps them move past their non-progressive behavior. From Discovery, I gather that Orions are like just very comfortable sexually and almost use that ability to exploit others. So it's actually a different behavior I think that needs to be addressed. But I also think that like as far as eye candy goes, that's in the eye of the beholder, right? Like some people are totally comfortable with nudity and like showing a lot of skin and other people are not. So I think in the future people don't mind, but I'm not sure.
I also want to point out that in the Escape Artist, the Star Trek short trek about Harry Mudd, we do see the female Orion as the dominant one over the male. She's giving
Yeah,
him
so they
orders.
another course correction or dimension, if you will, added to the Orions. It's true.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's a course correction because it's like you're making the women sexist now.
Well, maybe
It's
you're
not.
not. Maybe you're just introducing that like sexism is not maybe a thing that exists in Orion culture, and that it's our own human interpretation that we're layering on top of it. But it's gonna be
Yeah,
interesting to find out like what's coming
that's a
with
good
that if they
point
do that.
because I almost think like, what wouldn't it be interesting if we delved into the Orion Society a little more, and not every aspect of it, but certain aspects of Orion Society where the women are dominant and the men are like submissive, but like the men like that.
Right.
Like, that's like, yeah, I like my
That's like
women
yeah.
tough. I like my women to tell me what to do. And it's like, okay, from our point of view, that could be kind of like sexist or something, but it's like, no, 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 the men like that. But if you reversed it and like the women like being bossed around, it would seem very like, eh, you know what I mean? It's a bit weird, but yeah.
Starfleet Boy, personally, I tend to be on the more conservative side. Like, you're not going to see me walking around with just a harness and like speedos, but I I have friends who are totally comfortable with it, and I think they enjoy it, and I love that about I love that even in humanity, in current humanity, there's a diversity of like what's tolerable in terms of like sexuality and sensuality and expressing that and so on and so forth. So it all depends how you're kind of lining up with your beliefs, but I guess that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Good
And
question.
um okay, just to wrap it up, with the whole Beckett and Captain Freeman, Carol Freeman, Carol and Beckett, because they
I
both
love
call
finding,
each other
yeah.
by their first names in this episode. And it's like,
It's
oh, you calling your mom by her first name? No, it's a no
Do
no.
we know Shax's full name? No, not yet, right?
I don't know. I never figured that out yet. I don't know if they've said it, but yeah. But yeah, Shaq said there's an interesting line. He says, he's like, I've killed people for less. He's like, and Ransom's like, no, you haven't. He's like, well, I've threatened to kill people for less or the same.
That was really funny.
And the best thing about this show is, I know people are like, it's too fast, it's too much, I can't take it. I get it, but I find it's like I watched the first time and I'm like, yeah, okay, good, and then I watch the second time and it's almost better. And then
It's
like
true.
I'll see it a third time and I'll probably I'll get tired of it in some ways, like the aspects I don't like. But I'll always look for something in the background or some line that I missed because it's just rapid fire the whole way
It's
through.
very dense. In half an hour, I feel like they pack in just about as much as you would get in a normal, like in 23 minutes or 24 minutes, they pack in just about as much information as you would get in like a 48-minute full show. It's pretty crazy.
And I know that the TAS, the original animated series, is not like this at all in terms of pacing, but it did benefit from the fact that it took more of the dragged out elements from TOS. Like sometimes things would go on or marinate a little too long in those episodes, and the animated version kind of condensed things. So when you watch an animated series episode, it's not as it doesn't seem as long as some TOS episodes.
I love Stress Free K's comment because I also am not opposed to a society of men clad in thongs. So I agree. But yeah, too true. Lower Decks does owe it to Orion's deflect. I mean, we have an Orion character who we're getting to know. So yeah, I do think that I agree with that as a lot.
And this is the first Orion I think we've ever seen in Starfleet. Is that correct? Maybe.
That we're exploring. We've definitely seen them, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like Star Trek 4 at the end scene, they cover all the like everyone's there. Like there's an Orion. Yeah, I feel like it, but I have to go back and watch. Yeah. So I think we've got other people in Starfleet, but definitely Lower Decks pacing rivals Discovery's roller coaster rides. But it feels right. It feels balanced to me. Yeah, it's true.
Oh yeah. Before we go, we got to talk about Mariner's shitty jobs. Now, one of them is lubing the turbolift shaft. Now, this seems like an extremely not only dangerous job, but something that a human being would never do in this time period. You just have fucking like a robot do it. A robot.
A robot.
A robot.
No, I disagree. You know what's weird? Discovery kind of did this thing that, like, with the introduction of the .7 robots, it kind of implies that a lot of these things are done by robots and we just never see it. And that's the kind of in-world explanation that, a lot of us are giving to like account for their being there. But like, if the one thing I can say with pretty much confidence is that like humans do a lot of these jobs on TNG, like they're always lubing stuff and like fixing things and like, adding, polyonic gel to things or like, welding or things like that. I've never seen a robot up until Discovery doing anything like that. You even see humans repairing the hull all the way into Enterprise. Well, it makes more sense in Enterprise, but you see humans repairing the hull and things like that. You never have seen what a robot doing anything in Star Trek, as far as I remember, until Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, I think they couldn't have robots do a lot of things in the older shows just because budgetary reasons. Like even that,
I agree.
In quality of life, that robot that is so advanced in that time is just like it's so dated now. Go back and watch the episodes. Like,
dude, what is quality of life? Who's that?
I might have the name wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the TNG episode where there are brown robots floating around and they repair stuff. And like Data finds
the
out that
exocomps. Yeah, you're right.
Exocomps,
the exocomps. Yeah. Exactly.
And you look at their reaction to that technology in that episode. In today's context, it is very dated. It's like you're so impressed by this floaty robot thing that can fucking fix things. It's like, dude, you should have these everywhere by now. You know what I mean?
It's true. They should have the .7s. You're right, but I guess they don't. But I also always thought
I can forgive the Mariner lubing the stuff for comedy reasons. Like I'm not I'm not ragging.
No, I know, but you're right. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be done by a human. It is a very dangerous job, it seems like. And also the fact that like wouldn't there be safety protocols that she would have instituted to prevent him from even getting in the turbolift? Shouldn't there be like a sign outside that says
no, there
like,
was a sign. He
threw it out of the way.
Down,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's right.
California class ships might not even have the R2D2 dots.
It's possible that's true.
And the other job is cleaning the holodeck biofilters,
which you coined perfectly. If you want to see what it really is, check out Starfleet Boy After Dark.
Yeah, this was an instance where the bleeping actually ruined the joke.
Really? I thought it was still funny.
I can get that the bleep, if somebody says get the bleep out of the bleep, it's like, funny because I heard two bleeps, but it's like I don't know what he said. But you can kind of surmise what he said when Captain Freeman says, "Oh, they use it for that," in like a disgusted tone. But yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, true. pretty much that's all they use it for." And it's like, what? Like Fathery on After Dark, Starfleet Boy After Dark described it in graphic detail.
Yeah, that's true.
Graphic.
Although he used what I consider to be safe words, and he only said it once, so I think we're okay. It could have been more graphic. I don't know. I have to go back and listen, but it's true.
But the Discovery was an experimental top-of-the-line ship that had all types of tech that never made it to other ships, like being able to time travel. Yeah, the Discovery was a pretty advanced special ship for its time.
The Discovery is the Mary Sue of starships, everybody. Starfleet Boy is saying it right now.
Yeah. I will never accuse Michael Burnham of being a Mary Sue, but the ship was definitely a Mary Sue.
A Mary Sue. The Discovery was definitely a Mary Sue.
And not only that, they take it a step further in season 2. They introduce a piece of technology which is beyond the fantastical capabilities of the Discovery, and it's the Super Mary Sue Red Angel suit, which can fucking do anything. Move entire churches and land intact across the galaxy in different time periods.
I'm glad we can finally agree that what's actually Mary Suing in Star Trek is not the characters, but the technology itself is definitely a Mary Sue.
This goddamn site-to-site transporting all willy-nilly.
You hear that, Star Trek? It's all that technology. The Discovery's a Mary Sue of starships. We've agreed about it here on this show.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts on this episode, Starfleet Boy?
No, just that this was a very fun thing to come to on a Sunday. And also, thank you to Robbie and Stress Free K for commenting, because your comments were pretty awesome. It was very fun.
Thank you. Yeah, where would you rank it in all 4 episodes so far? Not talking about like a number rank, but like
we're definitely. I think it's gonna be fun when all of them have aired, so we could do like our definitive rank. But for now, I'm saying that this is number 1. The previous episode is number 2. It's in backwards order, so this is number 1, 2, 3, 4 for me, all the way to the first episode. So each one has gotten better, I guess, is what I could say.
If I had to choose, I would say, I don't know.
It's tough.
I can't. It's almost like
it's really tough.
Is 1 better than 2? I you know what? I think I would put 1 in the back, and maybe for me, if I had to choose, it would be your order, like the reverse order, just because I am actually enjoying it more and more, and I'm looking forward to it more and more. Yeah. But in terms of quality, I think the episodes are pretty consistent in that way.
Agreed on that as well.
Let's get to some comments. Stress VK. They even got the entire trillions of years of knowledge on a zip code to call the red planet. Yeah.
Zip drive. That's right.
I couldn't read there for a second. My least favorite so far, but not by any means bad. Yeah.
Excellent.
I
I'm
hope.
really excited about next week's episode. It looks like it's gonna be really funny as well.
Yeah, yeah. No spoilers, but yeah, I've seen what it looks like, and it looks like fun. And Boimler has been it was kind of in the background in this episode, and we get to it. The only thing I'll give away about the next episode that it seems to be Boimler centric.
Yeah,
and I want to see Mariner's reaction to this particular situation. I want to see if there's any. Yeah. Anyway,
it's gonna be pretty good. I have a feeling it's gonna be a riot.
so I want to thank you, Starfleet Boy, for joining me here today.
Thank you for
And
having me,
I
sir.
want to thank all the commenters. And we got one more comment here. For some reason, Envoys is still my favorite, partially because it was an away mission.
Mission.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that. Yeah, that was a good episode. But yeah, I find him.
They're all so good. They're just
I'm
points.
waiting.
Just
I'm
like
waiting for the
hairline
standout.
apart.
Yeah, I'm waiting
The
for the big
standout.
standout. Yeah, with
They say
fucking,
episode 8. There's something about it that's like a mythical standout. It's gonna be supposed to be like a really good episode.
was it Father or Sean? I think it was Sean who predicted it's going to be Jonathan Frakes on the Titan.
I hope
Marina
so. It's gonna be
Sirtis.
so good. Yeah, I hope that's what it is. It'll be really good. Anything involving any cast or characters from the previous iterations will be very cool.
Yep. All right, folks. That's it for us today. And until next time, live long and prosper.